Now, another point is that seeing the current scenarios of food scarcity or food supply or the increasing uh, world population, and a huge number of world population suffering from hunger and malnutrition. In this scenario, can aquaculture deliver as a food production system? Has aquaculture been able to do something so far? And what are different kind of you know uh, um, positive points from aquaculture that it can deliver in terms of food production system in order to ensure food security to all? Let's say one by one we can discuss here nutritional importance of aquaculture, that we have again discussed earlier also, that aquaculture is a vital source of high quality protein, essential fatty acids, vitamins and minerals. This we have already discussed. I'm just showing it here to connect the points that this has the potential. Then nutrient content in aquaculture products, nutritional content of popular aquaculture products such as salmon, tilapia, shrimp and catfish. In fact, they have high level of omega-3 fatty acids. And we all know that what are the advantages of omega-3 fatty acids. If you are consuming more marine fish especially, then you have good quantity of omega-3 fatty acids. And regarding protein, I should also say that we are here usually getting the white meat, and we know the advantages of white meat over the red meat. Then micronutrients, they are also rich. We have already discussed that they are rich in fat soluble vitamins, many essential minerals, and we discussed about the example of cod liver oil being given as supplement to human diet. Then dietary diversification, with different species range being cultivated and produced through aquaculture. Now, aquaculture has the potential. It is already showing the potential. Aquaculture produce are one of the very important food products which are being exported at a very large scale. And top exporting countries, if you will see, then we have China, Norway, Vietnam, Ecuador, Chile, India, and three others. Then here you will see that we are having Vietnam, Ecuador, India. But if you will have a look on top 10 importing countries, then we do not have these countries what I just highlighted in the previous slide here. Here, importing countries means they are usually rich countries which can afford to import food items from outside, good quality food items. So there is a scope, and we may diversify in terms of the total quantity being exported, total quantity being imported, and the kind of species diversification in the species which are being exported and imported. So when we have a look on the group of species which are being exported, then fin fishes contribute maximum about 65%, and followed by crustaceans, and then mollusks and other groups here. So these are the groups which are being exported. We can diversify maybe within the finfish species, maybe within the molluscan species, maybe within the crustaceans, in order to identify and promote more and more species for are produced in good numbers and being exported. Total and per capita apparent consumption of aquatic animal foods by region and economic class. This is quite interesting. Here you can see that the world average per capita consumption is 20.6, and if you see the average per capita consumption of Asia, this is 24.7, because most of the aquaculture activities are occurring in Asia, and Asia is leading in the world in order to produce more fish through capture and culture both. And the interesting point here is that if you in this table, income wise also grouping has also been done. High income countries having This per capita apparent consumption as 26.7. Upper middle income countries, they are having the most, 30.6. Then lower middle income 12.5, and low income countries 5.3. So it's not only the abundance of food, it's accessibility also, what we discussed in food security. Then there are annual changes in FAO fish price index. We all know that every commodity has shown price increase, and the same goes with fishes also, being popular food items across the globe. Now, one thing that comes in mind, that okay, uh, when price rise is there, when more and more hungry and malnourished people are there, and when other such parameters, challenges we discussed, whether aquaculture fits into FAO sustainability vision. FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, that has, you know, provided some of the points that needed to be taken into account in order to maintain sustainability. What are these? Number one is improving efficiency in the use of resources is critical to sustainable. Here they have written agriculture, but since aquaculture and fisheries are also included, so I will read it as aquaculture. Improving efficiency in the use of resources is crucial to sustainable aquaculture. Now, how this is possible? Since we are having huge aquatic resources, which are even now unutilized or underutilized. So we can, if we follow the scientific methods of their management, if we follow the norms already laid down for scientific and standard aquaculture practices, then we can, of course, improve the efficiency and use of these resources for sustainable aquaculture. There are many places, many agencies, many private entrepreneurship units. They are performing or faring quite well. So number two is sustainability requires direct action to conserve, protect, and enhance natural resources. This is something which should be taken care into account. Why? Because usually we do not care about natural resources when we start aquaculture. I will give you just one example. In India, here we all know that aquaculture is started with Indian major carps, that katla, rohu, and mirgal, usually, and sometimes exotic carps, what sometimes we also call as Chinese carps, those common carp, grass carp, silver carp. They were also sometimes introduced into the polyculture system. Now, when we started doing aquaculture with these species, then we forgot that natural systems also have these fishes. And in fact, Indian major carps, for example, their original germplasm lies in the riverine system. Here we consider that as Gangetic river system, their original germplasm is. So we started culturing, then we didn't care about what is going on to the population of Gangetic IMC population or Gangetic Indian major carp population. What happened? That the Gangetic catch of IMCs, I'm just taking an example of Gangetic river system. You can take example of any other river system. And the Gangetic catch of IMCs started to decline and dwindle. And nowadays, if you go, you don't get that much of IMCs, what is expected and what we have been getting earlier. So species composition of catch has also been quite variable. And what happened? But people continued to culture Indian major carps in ponds. What happened that from that population of IMCs being raised in ponds, uh, fish farmers, they selected brooders. They were bred again, induced bred again, and then the seeds were stocked for culture to raise another crop, and then from that crop again brooders were raised, and these brooders were utilized for breeding, and again to start the another crop. Again, the cycle goes on and on and on. What happened now? If you go to the farmers now, people doing such kind of aquaculture practice, they report that now they are not getting as good growth rate as they have been getting earlier. So that becomes such kind of a problem if you do not take care of your original germplasm. If you have taken care of your original germplasm, you could have introduced brooders from the natural habitat in order to get the fishes which are showing good growth rate, which are hardy, which are not that disease prone. So that way, second point needs to be taken care of, not individually with the entrepreneurs, but of course, policy interventions are also needed. Then number three, agriculture that fails to protect agriculture, or here we can say aquaculture, that fails to protect and improve rural livelihoods, equity, and social well-being is unsustainable. But in case of aquaculture, we all know that usually these activities are there in the areas where a lot of marginalized people you will get, and it involves aquaculture practice involves uh, you know mm, uh, um, engaging large number of people in different kind of activities. So this in fact helps the marginalized people in improving their livelihoods. In fact, there are government schemes also that community ponds are being given to the poor people, the more needy people, and marginalized people, and that is improving their livelihood in many places of our country. Then we have fourth point: enhanced resilience of people, communities, and ecosystems is the key to sustainable aquaculture. Now, here there are many kind of risks associated with any culture practice, with aquaculture practice also. So if there are certain kind of challenges and risks, we need to address them very appropriately, and we need to make the stakeholders aware. We need to provide them the logistics and other support needed, so that the practice remains sustainable. Then, for fifth point, sustainable food and um, aquaculture requires responsible and effective governance mechanisms. Again, this is something very concerning, and this should be addressed very seriously. That we should have, defined policies, defined norms in order to regulate the sustainability and growth of aquaculture. For example, there was a very popular phrase, popularized by researchers and environmentalists and government also, that never eat a fish in the months which do not have R in their spelling. So these months are May, June, July, August. So in these months, the fishes in inland areas here in northern India and other inland areas, monsoon breeders, which breed only once in a year, they mature and breed in these months. So if you do not catch the fish, kill the fish in these months, that means you are allowing them to breed, thereby producing lakhs and lakhs of more fish for you only to utilize that in the coming years. So one needs to have governance, not only governance in this, but we need to update and the data, continuously collect the data and update the data regarding basic biological parameters for all the aquatic resources, especially the fishes, uh, and come up with the kind of information that what is the age at first maturity, and what are different life stages and what are different milestones in the life cycle of that particular candidate species. For example, if the fish is maturing at 3+ years, then we should avoid catching the fish before 3 years of its age. We should catch the fish after 4, so that the fish gets an opportunity to breed at least once, to recruit the fishes in the system at least once in a year. So that kind of policies, and that policies comes in form of, I will very briefly tell you, in terms of like deciding what kind of mesh size of the net you can use, in which month you can do fishing, in then what are different species in a particular area that are restricted and that are allowed. So that kind of thing we can develop. So of course, aquaculture has the potential to fit into FAO's sustainability program. And then in this slide, I have tried to show you that what is the anticipated, scenario with regard to inland and marine, as well as total capture, aquaculture, or combined projection for 2050. 2020 data we are having, and then 2050 data we are having. 2020 data, for example, in capture fisheries, if you will take, then inland capture 2020 data we are having here with blue color, and then the red one is for business as usual. These abbreviations have been, expanded here. You can look at that. So if business remains as usual, then by 2050, what is the condition that we may be having in inland capture? And if there are certain problems, then what will be the case? And if we get more conducive environment to grow, then what will be the case? Similar for marine capture and total capture. Then aquaculture. In inland aquaculture, so far we are getting has been shown for 2020, it has been shown with the blue. And if everything business goes as usual, then it will be reaching about around 90 million tons. And if everything is more conducive, more familiar environment you get, then you can touch even 100 million tons through aquaculture. And same goes to total fisheries aquaculture production, you can see here. Then per capita consumption is again very interesting, that we have already improved a lot in terms of per capita consumption. That shows that people are now changing not only their choice of food, but their dietary preferences, they are changing. So, and they are including more fish into their diet. And if everything goes remains favorable, then what we can cross even 25 per capita consumption. So that was the projection scenario, and that has to be seen, the projection has to be seen in the context of this slide, that annual growth rate of world aquaculture is declining. Mind you, I am saying growth rate, the pace of growth. Pace of growth is decreasing. When you reach, to the top, then you have to come down. But growth still continues, and still it is faring quite well compared to our other food production systems. Growth percent or growth rate has declined, but growth is still taking place. So we can look forward to utilizing more areas that I have explained you earlier also, in order to occupy more areas or exploit more areas, more aquatic bodies which have so far not been utilized for aquaculture. Now, since we were talking about food security, so we cannot achieve it unless we deal with small scale fisheries, artisanal fisheries. If we do not deal with these, then it is not possible to address the food security and taking people out of poverty. So here what has been shown, that total global fisheries catch is 92 million tons, but you see here small scale fisheries is already contributing 40%. That is significant. And there are 492 million people depend at least partially on engagement in small scale fisheries. Large number of people. Million, as we know that it refers to 10 lakhs, so 492 multiplied by 10 lakhs, you can understand how many number of people. And then US $77 billion revenues from first sale of small scale fisheries. So worldwide, that is huge. And what other, in small scale fisheries, we have um, you know uh, many bodies which are engaged in harvesting and sustainable fisheries management goals, which are having this goal. And there are then which are having human well-being goals. So sustainable small scale fishery also deals with this. Then valuing women's contributions, 45 million women participate in small scale fisheries. If you go to uh, if you have seen that Maharashtra Warsaw fishing village, you will learn that how is the participation of women in many of the fisheries activities. Providing essential nutrition, that we have already discussed, that how nutritious diet, in fact, this is a kind of, you can say that it is bundle of nutrients nutrition. Small scale fisheries landings could provide 987 million women with 50% of the recommended nutrient intake of omega 3 fatty acids, which is concerning in many of the women across the globe. 477 million women with over 20% of the recommended nutrient intake of calcium, selenium, and zinc. That is again challenging in case of women. Then we also have, there was the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. A global action plan was released, and these points were there that we can discuss, and they are important with regard to food security. Here, for example, environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability, here you will have to make the culture practice eco-friendly. You should not use uh, aquaculture as a method to raise the fish and forget about other things. For example, if you are raising the fish and if you are releasing the used water nearby, then you are destroying the flora and fauna of nearby areas. So you will have to take care of the environmental sustainability, that it should remain environmentally sustainable, and it should be eco-friendly, or you can say environmentally viable. Then economic sustainability, that is again very important. Economic sustainability, if you are raising the fish, then there should be provisions for carrying the product, getting the right price for the product, and then carrying it to big markets where you can get good price for your produce. And also that should be well connected to major road and rail networks, so that your produce can go very easily. For transport, you should have good infrastructure that governments can improve. And to ensure economic sustainability, there should be also be provision for that what we call processing and value addition, so that may help the entrepreneurs to run economically sustainable and viable aquaculture. Then we have social sustainability. Here, small scale fishers, fish farmers, and fish workers, they should get not only livelihoods, but also and maintain their social, cultural, and physical well-being. That should be taken care of, their working conditions, their living conditions, that need to be ensured, and they get their due recognition in society. That is again very important, so that they engage and make aquaculture operation more successful, more efficient, and produce more food, and thereby contribute in the economic growth of the country. Nothing about us without us, that is regarding governance. That as I discussed earlier, that government participation, especially in laying down the policies, right policies, where with a humane approach, you can say, and that should take care of all the infrastructure and other logistics that are needed for the entrepreneurs, small scale fishery people, and other small scale farmers to grow, that kind of thing. And strict norms regarding biodiversity loss, or overfishing, or what we call as where the aquaculture practice is not environmentally sustainable or eco-friendly, there should be strict provisions in order to maintain the desired process needed in aquaculture. So governance need is there so that the stakeholders um, get proper suitable environment, conducive environment to produce food. Then gender equality and equity. We know that women participation in many parts of fishing communities and aquaculture, uh, where aquaculture is being carried out, there is a strong women participation, but still that needs to be encouraged. And not only participation, but there should be working on equity or also on empowerment, that when they participate in the fisheries and aquaculture activities, they should get their due share with regard to economy, with regard to social recognition, with regard to the living standards um, and other things also, which make them happily work and improve the production. Food security and nutrition. Small scale artisanal fisheries and aquaculture have a fundamental role in contributing healthy, safe, and affordable, nutritious aquatic foods and products as part of global and local food systems. In fact, when we talk of small scale or artisanal fisheries, then these are um, around people having the problems of food security and not getting access to very good healthy diet, so they can provide by their produce the nutritionally balanced diet. Then comes resilience, that we have again already discussed, that all stakeholders should be provided the protection of kind of risks that are involved, and the government intervention and awareness programs and skill development programs regarding um, ensuring resilience is needed. So what we can conclude is that uh, by going through the entire content of the lecture, we can say that aquaculture has the potential to play a pivotal role in fight against hunger and malnutrition. And but we need to promote not only big entrepreneurs in aquaculture, but also encourage and help small scale fisheries and aquaculture units to flourish, so that more and more marginalized people are doing aquaculture and producing food and getting more income in order to get their living standards improved. So ultimately, aquaculture, we can say that as a food production system, it has very important role to play in alleviating poverty, in removing, minimizing at least hunger and malnutrition, and of course generating employment and foreign exchange. That's all. Thank you so much